So, first of all, thank you very much for all of you who are willing to stay here, not just start drinking wine and listen to our discussion, which will be focused on one topic only, and it's called embedded finance. Before we jump into the topic and into the discussion, I would like my colleagues in the panel to introduce themselves. So please, let's start from you, Anna.
Shall I start?
Yeah, please.
Can you hear me, guys?
Yeah, it works.
Sorry, so my name is Lorenc. I was actually born in Prague, but live now for 20 years almost in Dublin, in Ireland. By fluke, I went over to Germany studying law by trade, and met Irish wife and ended up in Dublin in 2007. the usual story behind this, and working with CurrencyFair now for the last 4 months as the CEO of CurrencyFair. We're helping, supporting consumers like you and me, and businesses as well with international payments. So for consumers, it's just basically app-based. You can transfer your money out and back in different currencies. Businesses the same. It's more automated on that side. And that's I pass on maybe to my colleagues here.
Sure, thanks a lot. Hi, so my name is Dominik Wolski. I'm responsible for business development at Kontomatik. And Kontomatik is a Polish open banking provider. But of course, we are not operating only in Poland. We provide our services in several European countries. So starting from Baltic states, Estonia, Lithuania, Latvia, through Central Europe, Poland, Czech Republic, Romania, all across to Iberia, so Spain and Portugal. We are in the market since 2009, and all that time we are dealing with transactional data. Mostly what we are doing, we are supporting our clients in lending and creditworthiness checks. So this is what we are doing, and it's like shortly about me.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Roderick de Boer, solutions consultant at Lexis Nexis Risk Solutions. We're a global risk management service provider, so we help our customers make better decisions whenever they have a risk decision to make. And we really cut across the global digital economy. We help banks when they face social engineering scams or compliance issues. It could be an e-commerce platform that's facing chargebacks. It could be KYC requirements. It could be a lender trying to find an additional source of information to make a better mix of their credit portfolio. So we have vast amounts of data, advanced AI and analytics, and we really help our customers essentially whenever they have a risk decision to make, as I said. So our customers include most of the world's Fortune 500 companies, most of the top banks, but also plenty of startups and scale-ups. So I'm hoping to get across kind of my perspective on this topic as someone who has customers on both ends of the embedded finance spectrum. So platforms that are embedded in, as well as fintechs that are doing the embedding. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you, guys. And last, myself, my name is Štěpán, Kouba. I'm here on behalf of Czech Fintech Association, where I act as an open banking ambassador. And besides being open banking ambassador, I also help companies and banks to get into crypto thing. But we are not here talking about crypto thing. We are here talking about embedded finance. And let me, guys, start with one question. Why should we all here, should we talk about embedded finance? Why?
You look at me.
Anyone, please. It's more a chat.
Sure. I think it's a good starter. I think it's a $7 trillion business evaluated by the end of this year. So there's appetite. I think embedded finance is just making all the financial services somewhat invisible, but yet kind of omnipresent. So let's say the integration in the background goes into lives of yours and mine and different applications, and is changing the whole ecosystem and stack in terms of banking providers, where initially bank was kind of the prime source of the financial support, but it's changing to kind of the kind of enabler rather than the front desk. So that's why I think it's very important.
Okay, so what about you guys? How do you see it? Why should we spend the time here?
Well, right. So the question should be like, why shouldn't we talk? Or like to put it in the other way around, because like we cannot build any kind of financial products basically without embedded finance. So, because as I see it, none of the companies like in e-commerce or any other domain, it's necessary for each company and each segment to use financial services. And as, for example, I'm representing the open banking company. So there were lots of instances where several companies tried to build their own connections, and it turned out that that just doesn't make sense. So it's easier to use a third party. It's less costly. It's just easier to use third party. You don't have to build a whole ecosystem on your own, but you can use several providers providing you with different types of services, and then you have like your own unique product.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I'd just like to add to that. Obviously, it's a growing field of finance. It's taking more steps along the journey that we've been taking, where things get more accessible, lower costs, lower friction, greater opportunities. And for me personally, it's very interesting because it introduces some very unique challenges in managing the risk of providing these services, because the people that have the direct connection with the customer, the platform, are not the same as the people that ultimately provide the financial service and take on the liability and most of the risk. But they do have to make risk decisions when they accept these kind of transactions, in the broadest scope of the word, instantly, essentially, right? Frictionless, low barriers are the whole goal of the operation. So there's financial institutions that are having to make instant decisions on people that they don't have a direct interaction with, that they don't have a pre-existing relationship with, and how do you do that, right? So that's where global data comes into play, that's where advanced risk modeling comes into play, that's where AI comes into play, and that's a very exciting space right now.
Before I ask the next question, I'll check the audience, whether they are sleeping or not. Please, raise your hand. Who has used embedded finance in the last 12 months? Okay, 2, 3. 3.
Maybe the rest of you have used it but not noticed.
Exactly.
So it's been very successfully embedded.
Yeah, exactly, and that's partly my point. What's your point on this? Do you think customers or users, bank users, or whatever user of any applications, really want embedded finance? Do they need it?
I think absolutely, and maybe to a point, as you said, maybe they just don't know using this. So when you look at the gig people platforms related applications, so you have, let's say, Deal or Upwork or guys like this, so they have embedded, different cross-border payment on it. They have a FX embedded in it. They have a tax advisory embedded. Look at Shopify. They might have insurance embedded in it. So you're staying in the same app without knowing this is actually embedded finance. What does it mean? Based on data and API connectivity in the background. You have a mobility. Look at the car industry, for instance. So you can, via card application or app application, upgrade your engine and or book anything else what you want related to the car. So there's a lot of application that is actually embedded finance, but the awareness is probably not out there yet.
Yeah, I see.
Well, I guess if you go out of this room and ask 10 people in the street if they use embedded finance, they are going to look like really weird. Like, what are you even talking about? What kind of wizardry is that? But I think it's like a really good success story that this embedded finance is so well integrated into the systems that we are doing every day. Like I personally am a huge fan of Apple Pay, and I find myself that I'm on my laptop, browsing some websites, trying to buy something, and then I tend to I'll finish the process on my phone, because when I go to the checkout and I see a list of 3, 4, 5 payment methods, it's like I need to log into my bank, accept the payment, and so on. Third-party verification is just so long, and on the phone it's just a couple of clicks. In Amazon, even you have this option just to purchase with one click, so it's even better, right? So you just totally don't realize that you are paying. Everybody likes to spend money, but they don't like to pay. So.
Well, I mean, it's clear that people like it, right? The proof is in the results. Any e-commerce platform will tell you that when they offer buy now, pay later options, basket sizes are bigger, conversion rates are higher, right? People like convenience, and that's only going to increase, especially with the younger generations who really don't have any patience with any kind of delay. And I notice it myself as well. Things that I would have considered convenient 10 years ago, if it now doesn't work for 5 minutes, I find myself annoyed by it. So yes, customers do like it. And then that's just for the convenience factor, right? We also shouldn't forget that embedded finance allows previously underserved populations to get access to financial services that they otherwise wouldn't. Think of a small business that's getting a loan from Shopify or another platform that they're embedded in, right? So it enables more competition, more diversity, and more free access to financial services.
Thank you very much for mentioning buy now, pay later, because I think this is a really great example of embedded finance. But I don't think many people think about it. It's embedded finance, in fact. What are the other examples of embedded finance in real world you would like to mention?
It could be maybe payroll platforms, kind of globally. It could be, let's say, I don't know, you adding Uber, maybe car loans to it. It's anything kind of around the convenience, and you have a kind of the super app, which is now the buzzword, that you can pay, you can have a loan, maybe you look into the mortgages. Yeah. It's all embedded in one kind of app. I think that's the power of it. So that's the, we can go across all those segments and industries, and you will find it. But it's the convenience of it.
Okay. Guys, do you think that when looking at the embedded finance and the role of the bank, does it mean that bank will become invisible?
I guess not. You still need to hold your money somewhere, so you still need to keep the relationship with your bank. And if you look at the other side of the perspective, so banks are actually trying to embed services into their apps. So in order to maintain this relationship, because with all those invisible payments, as we call it, we don't tend to go to our banking app every day. So what banks are doing, they are integrating another services. For example, what I use very often is paying for the parking spaces. So I park my car and I just go to my banking app. I turn on the parking, so I have the relation with the bank. So I guess the banks are trying really hard to keep us maybe not entertained, but engaged at least.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. Right, sometimes we hear people, especially fintechs, proudly announce that in 20 years there won't be any banks. You'll just have apps, and it's all going to be invisible. But at the end of the day, you need somewhere a trusted party to handle your finances. And maybe I'm particularly paranoid, but I'd like to know who I do business with. I'd like to know that 20 years from now they still exist, right? So banks will always have a role. And increasingly also we see banks develop their own technology, either through spin-offs or partnerships. A good example from my country, the Netherlands, we're kind of famous for being stingy with money. And in most countries, if you maybe go out with drinks for friends, one friend will pay and the rest, will owe them. In the Netherlands, it's quite common to split. So one of our major banks has actually developed an app called Tikkie, which allows you to send WhatsApp messages with QR payment codes to just automatically split the bill. So this is an example of embedded finance, quite culturally relevant to the Netherlands, right? But it's initiated and maintained and owned by one of the major tier 1 banks of the country, right?
I agree. It doesn't make them invisible or go away. I think it's more cooperation. It just makes them more aggregating and increase pressure for the banks to kind of keep up with it. I mean, invisible, that would be more into the kind of blockchain digital asset space, potentially. But, they are stepping up on that front as well. But I think, it's changed slightly. The table turned, that's where fintech is bringing actually clients and consumers and businesses to the bank through the applications, through the integrations. They benefit from it, obviously, hugely as well.
And do you think, from your perspective, from your experience, how banks are looking at the cooperation, the point of cooperation with fintechs? Do they realize this last point you've mentioned? Do they realize it right now?
They do. So we are exposed in the background to lots of banks. We operate globally. And, the discussions, they realize that. There are compliance-related items that we have to obey and go with. But they do realize that, and it's reflecting on, let's say, the geo coverage they can kind of enhance through a middle party, which is fintechs. So they do realize that, and it's a reflection on then the actual pricing end to end, the support, and can develop their own kind of barrier of onboarding and go into maybe segments or verticals where they never dared to go before.
Yeah. Perfect. Kontomatik is operating all over the European Union?
Almost.
Almost. So what's your experience?
So from our perspective, we see lots of use cases, and from the very basic ones, as I mentioned earlier, so the consumer lending, which is really huge. But what we see as well is that our relationship with the banks are really strengthening, because from one side we are of course connected to their APIs, and but that's, let's say, on the back end. But in case of Poland, as I see it, many banks set up their own open banking departments just to acquire data from other banks. And what they realized is that it's really expensive to maintain the connections, to have it in-house. Of course, we are very happy about that, but they are turning to us to use our solution instead of building their own. So I guess it's a good type of cooperation, because usually banks are either copying or merging or buying the startups or their technology, and this is another way of putting those things, because initially they built the solutions, but in fact they realized it doesn't make sense to maintain it on their own, and they're turning to us to buy the service from us.
Do you see banks more and more developing their own applications for open banking? Because open banking as a concept, I mean, it's not something in most jurisdictions that came because the market demanded it and it was finally made possible. It was brought into being by regulation. The banks at first certainly didn't feel very happy to open their books to whoever got the API keys. So do you see that changing now?
Yeah, so exactly as I was saying. So as you said, the banks were forced to open their APIs and to build the connections on their own. But in fact, for them, it turned out to be easier just to use a third party. So they are just slowly moving on to using our services.
Jan wanted to add something.
I was just thinking now, kind of, and maybe out loud we're talking about the banks, but you also have schemes kind of involved in this, and not to lose the access to it. And they go through the same route, kind of acquiring providers like Earthport, the bank-to-bank kind of portion, and Ting. by Visa, open banking provider, especially in Sweden. So there's lots of kind of players, mainstream players, that are changing the dynamic through acquisitions, mostly, I would say, to lose access.
You've mentioned one thing, open banking. For all of us or people in the audience, does it mean embedded finance equals open banking, or is there kind of difference? How do you see it?
I see it as like open banking being a part of embedded finance, because embedded finance, it's like much broader term and definition. I feel like it more relates as well to the payments. Of course, like open banking is as well payments, but like at Kontomatik, we are not doing that much payments. Like actually, not at all. We're just dealing with the data. But yeah, in sense. Embedded finance, it's like mostly about payments, and basically all the solutions like buy now, pay later, and like risk decision on the onboarding processes. I think it all can be put into this definition of embedded finance, which is like very broad and difficult to grasp in a single sentence.
I mean, the true engines, I would say, are the APIs for kind of embedded finance, but open banking as a kind of information and transparency is so key to it as well, actually, on so many levels. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, that's right. And like right now we have in place PSD2, and FIDA is coming, PSD3 is coming. So I guess it's just the beginning. Like the banking sector was the first mover. And then the next sectors, next segments, next industries are going to be integrated into this like very broad exchange system.
Perfect. Roderick, wanted to add something? No. Okay. But anyway, I'm going to ask you because it was already mentioned here, data, and your company basically without data wouldn't do anything. Actually, how important is the real-time access to the data?
That's absolutely critical, right? You have to make a real-time risk decision 99% of the time when you're dealing with most embedded finance transactions. Mm-hmm. So you need to have instant access to the latest intelligence, insofar as it is available, on who is requesting this service. Mm-hmm. You don't have don't have an existing relationship with this person. So you need to get, as best as you can, an indication of, is this person trustworthy? Is this person real? Yep. Is this person creditworthy? And the key to that is real-time data, and the key to that is global data, right? People have an online presence. Everybody on any given day is logging into their banking app. They are on their laptop booking a travel ticket to go see a client, or they're at home on the couch watching a media streaming service on their tablet, right? So you interact with many different companies online using different combinations of personal details, different devices, different connection types, but all of that does ultimately tie back to you. And if you can anonymize those interactions through a global data set, such as we have, you can say a lot, fully GDPR compliant, fully cognizant of people's rights in terms of their data, about this individual. So someone who has a very long presence in that network, who we've seen years and years and years, and has always been well behaved, that is a very valuable insight. And that's completely separate from any more traditional KYC or credit check. Those things are slow, they cost money. This you can get in real time. Instantly. So that is absolutely invaluable to have that kind of insight to make those kind of decisions.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I mean, data is key to it. But you can do so much with the data. You can, build out the platforms based on behavior data, transactional data, open banking data. I mean, it's a key to hold it, but on the global kind of scale, which is so important. Yeah, nothing else to it.
Sure. And tell me one thing: we cannot avoid this topic. It has to be part of all of the discussions here. The topic has 2 letters. AI.
Didn't expect that.
What?
You haven't heard it so far. what will be the influence of AI in terms of embedded finance and the real-time data, as you've mentioned?
Well, I mean, we need to realize that, it's already here, right?
Yeah.
Machine learning models have been at the heart of these kind of decisions for years already.
Okay.
And it's now becoming more of a hot topic because more opaque, somewhat more capable in certain ways, AI models are arriving on the scene. And anyone who's ever had a conversation with ChatGPT knows that it feels a lot different than a statistical risk model. It's important to understand, though, that under the hood, ChatGPT or any other language model is still a very sophisticated statistical model, right? So it's a very important tool, but it's very important to use that responsibly. As with any tool, it can be very helpful, it can be dangerous in the wrong hands, it can be misapplied. So it's important to keep human supervision of these tools. It's important to maintain an understanding of what they do, right? Because with some of these more complicated models, it can be surprisingly difficult to understand after the fact. Why did they take a decision? Even the data scientists who make these things, the people at OpenAI and the top movers in this field, they can't do it, right? They've lost understanding of how these things operate. And that's very dangerous, because that means that if the model misbehaves, you can't predict when it will do things that you don't want it to do. You can't always find an easy way to correct it. You would have to train it and hope that the behavior gets back in line. And in certain markets, you have a regulatory obligation to understand why you took a decision. Yeah. You have to prove to the regulator that, no, we didn't reject this credit application, for example, for discriminatory reasons or for bias reasons. The UK is a market where this is a hot topic.
Yeah, Poland as well.
Poland as well, right? So it's very much important to use AI responsibly and to maintain control of it, right? So some companies like to say they're AI first. Well, AI is a tool, right? You should be people first, your customers, your stakeholders, the wider society. People first, people last, and the AI is in the middle doing most of the heavy lifting, right? Getting you that insight, getting you that real-time processing of that enormous amount of data, something that you wouldn't be able to do with a human team. But at the end of the day, the human fraud team should still be in control of what this tool is doing and should make sure that it serves the interest of not just the company, but also their customers and society at large. So responsible AI is very important. And I fear these things becoming more powerful, they're running away from us, essentially.
Okay. Guys, your point of view.
Yeah, so maybe I'll slightly try to disagree with the statement that AI is going to change embedded finance. But we need to split two things, because one thing is the process of using the embedded finance in, let's say, obtaining open banking data or, let's say, paying with buy now, pay later in some online store. So I guess I was trying to think of like a use case or a solution. So maybe I just didn't have an idea, but I don't see a clear application of AI in this sense. But if we turn the question to another side and we ask how the embedded finance can be embedded into AI, this is like a whole different story, because in maybe like a few years, probably a few months, we will be able to add our credit cards to ChatGPT and just tell him to buy the groceries. So that's kind of interesting.
Yeah, that's a very good point, actually, because my fiance is shopping for a new espresso machine these days, and what she does is she goes
which one she has chosen?
Huh?
Which one has she chosen?
She hasn't chosen yet. It's a bit of an issue because she wants it also to not leach any toxic metals into. So, the point is, the way she goes about it is she goes to ChatGPT. She says, "These are my requirements. What can I get here?" Right? And it would be amazingly convenient if that included a link to buy and pay for it right there.
That's a good point. Like in my world of international payments, the AI is here. We are using them on a couple of fronts already. The validation is always needed, naturally. But you're looking at, let's say, on the fraud, risk monitoring, you can deploy them on the kind of sell function, leads generation, as well as the pricing can be run by AI kind of bots and different engines. But they are getting better. They are getting actually so robust in such a short time. It's not funny. So you get so much qualified feedback. It's just incredible.
Yeah, I have to use your term responsible AI. That's really great. But let me just ask a few questions from the audience. I will start with the most important one. Staying for a drink? Yes. I don't know who, but...
One or two?
I don't know. It's just staying for a drink.
Just plural.
Yeah, you can't visit Prague and not stay for a drink, right?
So, yeah. So let's get back to embedded finance question. Let me read this one. What is the importance of generative AI for fintech? Coming from a traditional banking environment, it was very surprising for me to see hardly any topics in this conference around it.
Yeah, I think the examples I mentioned just a second ago. So you have, lead generations potentially. You go into different segments and you have to validate. So that's very quick. Pricing, active pricing, and then you have fraud, transaction monitoring. So those segments. Yeah.
So we are changing this topic of this panel to AI, but no. Let's keep with the question because it's interesting, guys. What about AI in fintech for fintech?
So generative AI is an interesting one because, again, I come back to this responsible AI topic. You have to keep it under control, right? You create these models by basically they download the internet. That's about what they do, right? Every site where anybody's ever made a comment, they all scrape that. They feed that through a very complicated, expensive machine learning process, and what they end up with is a statistical model that tries to predict which word follows which word, right? But it's general. It's trained on the whole internet. So if you want a generative AI model to, make business propositions to your potential customers, you have to train that on a potentially quite large data set of your own example business propositions. You have to make it see an enormous amount of edge cases, because these models, they can hallucinate, right? This is a common thing. If you ask early models of ChatGPT, which number is larger? Is it 3.9? or 3.10, right, so 3.1 essentially, it will confidently say that 3.10 is bigger because 10 is bigger than 9. It's a computer that can't do math, right? So you need to make sure that doesn't happen, especially when you're, right? And you need to make sure that what it's offering is legally viable, that it meets all of your compliance requirements. So I think that's kind of held it up for now. It certainly has a lot of potential, but you need to make sure, again, that it does what you want it to do and that it doesn't do what you definitely don't want it to do.
Let's get back to embedded finance because more questions are focused on this topic. The next one, we've talked about it, but let's use these questions. Let's ask this question. What do you think is the best embedded model you know? Collaboration.
What is what?
The best embedded model you know.
I would stick with buy now, pay later. I think it's a really great solution because just go to store, doesn't matter which one, and you just input just a 1-2 step, a little bit of personal data, not too much onboarding process and not too much hassle. And if you already use this service, you don't have to do it the second time. They already know you. They already give you like some kind of credit line or some sort of financial ability to spend across different stores. So in my opinion, this is the best usage of like fully embedded finance because it's easy, it's transparent, and definitely it's a real life application of how it works. Like I guess like almost everybody used it at least once. Because it's just convenient. Like, okay, why should I spend my own money if I can spend someone else's money?
There's also applications say first, buy later.
Okay, another question. Do you think that embedded finance in Poland is further than in the Czech Republic or in the UE? EU in general?
Well, no, I wouldn't say that it's
What would you say?
What would I say? I would say that the companies offering embedded finance solutions, so like in terms of payments and in terms of like us, like as Kontomatik and our competitors, we're just operating like on a European level, European scale. So basically, in almost in every country, you have kind of the same solutions. It's like maybe as Polish, let's say, let's call it national treasure fintech, Blik. I guess like many of you heard this name. Like we had a discussion earlier that in Poland you don't have a conference related to like basically anything without mentioning their name. So it became like a very useful solution, and somehow it didn't catch up in different countries. In Western Europe there is another player, Bizum, if I remember correctly, the name. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to the further development of this solution in other countries. It's a very good solution. As you were mentioning in the Netherlands, that you like to like split bills and send money to your friends. Like as for Blik, this is the easiest solution. To just go to your banking application, you choose like from your contact list person to whom you want to send money, and you just do it. So it's super easy, convenient, and fast. Yeah, I highly recommend other countries to to embrace Blik, of course.
Perfect, thank you. You know that you are on the Czech National Bank, so you can't say Czech is bad in embedded finance. But we've mentioned partly that the relationship is not just for fintechs connecting to banks, but otherwise as well. And this question leads to this particular topic. Are there banks that have embedded solutions? I know only Revolut.
There are Monzo and N26, and the list goes on. Most of them would have embedded solutions.
We would call them neobanks, the new ones, the new players.
That's the point, yes.
What about incumbents?
You mean mainstream banks?
Yeah.
So you're thinking of Barclays and probably less, I would say, generally than the neobanks, as you call it. I think there's lots of catch-up to do. I think they are still more focused on the traditional finance-related support of it, on the trading, capital markets, and FX support, and forget about all the blockchain, digital assets, and tokenization stuff.
Okay.
But I think the neobank are just ahead of mainstream banks in that relation.
I think in neobanks like Revolut or other ones, it's more visible, but as for like I already gave an example of paying for the parking spot with my banking application. So the banks are really trying to get our attention and to put lots of added values into their value-added services into their applications. So for another example is the bank that I'm using on a daily basis. It's mBank. It's also present here in Czech. I don't know like what they're offering here is in Czech, but for example, I can buy like travel, or I can buy some special occasions for shopping. It's not like a first thing that you would think about, like okay, if I need to shop for something, I just go to the specific store. Like I'm not going to my banking app and they're looking for some special occasion, but it's possible, right? And I'm like not even mentioning buying insurance or like investments because it's like a natural part of element of the banking app. Yeah, Roderick?
Yeah, I think with traditional banks, they do have embedded solutions. Typically, they're not invisible, though. And that's banks trading on their reputation as a trustworthy institution. Right? So, for example, in the Netherlands, every bank offers an embedded payment solution through a common platform called Ideal, which works with QR codes. So that's embedded in pretty much any financial product, any marketplace, and it does require you an authorization on your banking app. Right? So it's definitely not invisible, but it is fully integrated with all of these platforms. So
to that point, in Ireland, there was a discussion here earlier this morning at 10 o'clock. I think Brian was talking about the situation in Ireland in terms of banking. That's, that's less visible and existing in Ireland for different banks. So I know that Netherlands are miles ahead, example, than in Ireland. So you would have the neobanks actually ruling completely the market on that, in that segment.
Okay, perfect. So I'll take the last question as the last point for our discussion. The last question from the Mentimeter. Where does embedded finance add real value, and where is it just hype? You are showing us that we are already living embedded finance right now, but I think it's fair to ask, where is it hype? Where's the real value?
I'll go first, I guess. So I think it adds real value where there is something really in it for the end user, right? So when it's much more convenient for the end user, or where it gives them access to financial products that they otherwise couldn't, right? So the example I alluded to earlier, small businesses getting payroll services, payment processing, all embedded within the marketplace that they're using to sell their products, that adds real value. In other cases, it really depends on the trade-off that you're offering, right? Because if you offer one-click insurance, yes, that's convenient. Do you get the best rates? No, because you don't get to pick, right? So there is certainly a bit of a gray area there for when it comes to the end-user experience.
Okay, fair point. Dominik, what about you?
I'm thinking of an example in, let's say, SME lending. Because in SME lending, in order to underwrite the company and their finances, we basically need to go through their balance sheet, cash flow, and so on. And in that case, when you have possibility to use open banking through embedded finance, you get all the transactional data immediately. Like in Poland, when you're reporting your fiscal year, you usually do it until the end of April, if I remember correctly. So when, for example, we have May, yes, and the company is applying for a loan, so the institution has access to the balance sheet from 2023. Yeah. Because 2024 is still not reported. And through open banking, we can deliver the data up to date, even with transactions from this morning, basically. So I think it's really a game changer in that industry. Others just hype. Well, I don't have this bad examples.
I mean, for me, it's a huge difference now when you look at the businesses. So that's reality, I would say necessity and not hype. So let's say when you can integrate with ERP system, procurement systems, and you name it, treasury systems, and you have lending and payments and everything integrated with accounting systems, that makes absolutely sense. And then it should be kind of built out. In consumer space, the financial stack, it's somewhat limited. As Roderick said, if you have one-click insurance and you go to that, that's perfectly fine, works well, and that's fine. But it doesn't allow you kind of to scope the ecosystem, and doesn't allow you to maybe compare, and doesn't allow you to have everything with one app. So.
Yeah, I think. Guys, thank you very much. We are at the end of the discussion. Thank you all of you for your attention, and enjoy the networking and evening with wines. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.